Invited, and we'll be rolling out a robust social media campaign on all our platforms, as well as an outdoor media campaign, all designed to educate, enlighten, and empower you in our fight for climate justice.
We want cleaner air.
Caring about the community means caring about the climate. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that we really can change the world if we care enough. 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 If we care enough.
I'm Tavis Smiley. That track is called Smoke. It's on Victoria Monet's album, Jaguar 2. That's Victoria and Lucky Day. Nice track. It's called Smoke. While Miles lets that ride, we'll talk about that in just a second. But in this hour, our final hour, two conversations on the B side of this hour. We'll talk with film critic Mike Sargent, who co-runs the Black Critics Circle Awards. He'll join us for a preview of this weekend's Academy Awards. On the back side of this hour, since we're talking music, the B side. On the B side of this hour, we'll talk to Mike Sargent about the big awards show this weekend. There are a number of black people nominated in some major categories, so we'll talk about that on again the B side of this hour. We commence this hour though with Grammy-winning mixing and recording engineer John Kersey. You can hear his genius gift. You just may not know his name, but all the artists know who he is, and that's what really matters. The conversation right now with the guy who makes the music sound so good, John Kersey. John, good to have you on. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Man, if I complained, I'd be an ingrate. I am doing well, and I'm delighted to have you on the program. Let me just start with this. I am always fascinated by the backstory. We'll get to what you do and how you do it so well, that the Grammys are acknowledging what you do so well. And artists, of course, love working with you. As I said a moment ago, people know your stuff because they hear it all the time. They just don't know your name. But I'm always curious about the backstory. How did this become the lane, sound mixing and recording? How did that become the lane that John Kersey decided to run in?
Man, that's a really good question. So the short version of that is, my father, he was or he is a electronics engineer, and he's a technician, and he has a passion for music. Like he's a lover of music. He's a fan of music. So as a kid, like he would be the guy with all like the equipment and have, his musician friends come over. And so music was always around me as a kid. So we, I was always attracted to like all like the equipment and all these things. And at a point I thought maybe I would be a producer or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then fast forward a couple of decades, I met D Mile. And when working with D Mile, at first we were like collaborating as me as a producer, whatnot. And I was doing a bit of engineering work for him. And at the time, his partner, Sean and Dee, I guess, saw something in me and decided, to partner up. And through that, I was doing a lot of engineering work for Dee. And Dee is extremely talented musician, producer, and I just realized to myself, hey, this producing stuff, I need to step up and fill a role on the team that's more needed. Mm-hmm. So I decided to pivot and focus 100% on just engineering, and I just aspired to be as good of an engineer as Dee was a producer.
Well,
that's kind of how I stepped into it.
No, well, you pulled that off, and the Grammys attest to that. Let me ask you right quick though. I'm curious about the soundtrack that your dad was playing when you were a kid. Did your dad have eclectic music taste, or was he in a particular genre? What were you listening to? What were you hearing as a kid hanging out with your dad?
Well, I was born in Haiti,
Right.
and my father and mother are both Haitian.
Right.
So as a kid, I grew up listening to like a lot of different types of music, from Haitian compa music, which is a genre that is very heavily groove based.
Mm-hmm.
With like like the conga drums, the drums, and all this stuff. And I listen to a lot of French music as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like Charles Aznavour and Mike Brunt and all these sort of things, and also, of course, like the Michael Jacksons, the a lot of reggae, the Earth, Wind and Fire, like all like the popular music as well. So it wasn't just one genre. So I listened to a lot of Latin music as well.
So it was,
you know what I mean?
So it was eclectic. You heard a whole bunch of stuff in your house, courtesy of your father, and I think that's a good thing. When we come forward, I want to ask an impossible question, so I'm going to give you a couple minutes here to think about it, about how you want to approach this. But I was in a conversation with somebody just a day or so ago in this studio, one of my guests. I mean, they walked away. They said, "I have great respect for you, Mr. Smiley." I said, "Thank you." They said, "Just watching you work and watching what you do, I now realize that being a talk show host isn't as easy as it might appear. You don't just turn on a microphone and start talking and you sound brilliant and everything works. And particularly when you're trying to navigate and moderate a conversation, it is," I said to them, "a lot much more difficult than it looks. I'm blessed to do it, but it ain't easy. But I've been at it for a long time, so I ought to be a little bit better at it than I was 30 years ago." I am curious when we come forward as to, you talk about a producer, you got the artist, you got the producer, and you got the mixing, and you got the recording engineer that makes this thing all come together and sound right. I am curious as to what the trick is to being a great recording engineer. I want to understand more about what it is that you do that we appreciate when we hear the record, and how difficult it is to do that and to become good enough at it that the Grammys acknowledge you for being a great engineer. Let's talk about that part with John Kersey when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley. Tavis Smiley. Ranked number 45 on the Heavy 100 list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
THE Health and Wellness Centers, celebrating 50 years since 1974 when it started as THE Clinic for Women. Then, THE Clinic for Women became THE Health and Wellness Centers, providing quality care for everyone. Learn more at tohelpeveryone.org. Hey Californians, are you ready to make your home ownership dreams come true? The California Dream for All Shared Appreciation Loan Program might be for you. First-generation homebuyers can get down payment and closing cost assistance along with a first mortgage to help you unlock the door of your new home. Applications open in April, so talk to an approved lender to see if you're eligible. Find out more at calhfa.ca.gov/dream or call 877-922-5432. A message from the California Housing Finance Agency.
If you're an adult in need of accredited high school diploma, the Los Angeles Public Library can help. You can earn one for free in as few as 5 months online with 24/7 access. You also get a personal academic coach plus special training focused on 9 in-demand industries, as well as a resume and cover letter to advance your career. Visit the website at lapl.org/diploma. That's lapl.org/diploma.
Watch out! You got me!
The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Smart talk for curious people just like you. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Balloons are deflating. Guess they look lifeless like me. We miss you on your side of the bed. Still got your things here. They stare at me like souvenir. Don't wanna let you out my head. Just like the day that I met you, the day I thought forever. Said that you love me, but that'll last forever. It's cold outside, like when you walked out my life. Why you walk out my life?
That track is called Heartbreak Anniversary. Why you walk out of my life? Why you walk out of my life? It's called Heartbreak Anniversary from Giveon. And John Kersey is our guest in this half hour. Brilliant recording, mixing recording engineer. And we are celebrating him as the Grammys have celebrated him for his work. But that track that's kind of pensive. That's kind of pensive, John Kersey.
Yes, it is.
No, that thing speaks to you, man. Heartbreak Anniversary. Good Lord. So the question I asked a moment ago that you may answer by using this song as an example. You tell me. But when you are doing what you do as a mix and recording engineer, what's the trick? How tell me what you do. I know it's technical, but tell me what you do and how you get good at doing it.
So, in a nutshell, what I do is capture. On the recording side, is capture the song. You know, like songs don't come out of thin air. You know, there's the artists or writers will write the song. The song has to be performed. You know, instruments have to be played, and someone has to capture it. And my job is to capture the essence of the record and choose what, you know, microphones and consoles and whatever have you, rooms, to capture these instruments and voices in a way that moves people. And the mixing part of it, I would say, is finalizing the world around the actual song. You know, with different like technical things like reverbs and, you know, the way the vocals sound, where it's sitting, all that stuff psychoacoustically, emotionally makes you feel something. You know what I mean? And as a mixer, that's our job, is to find the best way of balancing the song to convey whatever it is that the producer and the artist was trying to get across. So
here's another impossible question. That means that you have to have a good ear. My ear works one way as a talk show host. I say all the time that if you want to be a great talk show host, you have to learn how to listen generously. You learn how to listen charitably. If you think you're driving the conversation, you're doing it wrong. Listen to what the guest is telling you. You listen better, you'll be a better talk show host. So my ear listens I'm listening every day. I'm not just in here, you know, writing down notes and getting ready to ask my next question. I'm listening to what the guest is telling me, and that's what drives the conversation. I have my own ear that works for me. So I assume that you can't do what you do without having a certain kind of ear and developing that ear. So tell me about that part, how you develop an ear to be a great mix and recording engineer at Grammy level, no less.
Now, I really think the best way to develop your ear is to acclimate yourself with what sounds good. You know, I honestly was talking to a friend yesterday, and they were saying like, hey, they didn't like a piece of equipment, like a preamp. And I was like, well, maybe it's just the way that it's being used. You know, until you hear how someone that has mastered it using it, you can't really write that piece of gear off, because you don't know how good it is until you hear it. So it's the same thing with music. So being around great musicians, being around other great mixers, you know, having mentorship and allowing people to hear what a great record sounds like and be able to discuss and break it down to you, it kind of starts developing your ear for what actually sounds good, you know? And especially like... No,
go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish your point. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, like, you know, we spoke about this before, and like the diversity of the music that my parents played in the house definitely lended a hand in developing my ear.
Your ear, yeah. I know that every record is different. Every artist is different. I get that. I'm not stuck on stupid about that part. But I'm wondering, when you talk about a great record, I mean, I've asked this question. Let me pause for a second. I've talked to more artists than I can count in my career. People know that I love music, and I'm an artist lover. And I've asked this question of many of the great songwriters, William Smokey Robinson on down. I've asked some great songwriters, what makes a great song? What makes a great song? And each of them gives me their answer, his or her answer to what makes a great song. I ask you, why every artist is different, every project is different. Is there like a checklist? Is there a list of things that you run down to make sure that you've done this, you've done this, to make sure that whatever that record is, you're putting out the best product you can put out? And if that checklist does exist, give me some sense of what you are checking for to make sure that you've done what you promised you'd do for this artist. Does that make sense at all?
Yes, it does. And the best way I can kind of reply to that is, I don't think there's necessarily a checklist.
Okay.
It's more so of a feeling. So, you know, they're as technical as my job can be, you know when it's right when it just feels right, you know? And all the technical things that you learn, and that's something that I had to learn across my career, is because if you're just doing the technical side of it, it's not going to have that human element that people appreciate.
Yeah.
You know, so you use the technical to find that feeling where you just know, man, this really, really, really sounds good, and everyone is going to appreciate it, you know?
Yeah.
So I would generally say it's a feeling.
You know, I'm laughing at that because you asked a technical question, as I did, and you're not sure what the response is going to be, but I'm cracking up because I don't care what the question is, I don't care what the issue is, I don't care who the person is. There's one thing about our human existence that is universal, and that is what you just said, that ultimately people know when it feels right. They know when it feels right. And you can't argue with that. I'm thinking of Frank Sinatra. I never had a chance to see him in concert, but I met him once or twice. And Frank Sinatra once famously said in a recording session, when he was told that the take that they had just done was perfect and they were moving on, he said, "No, let me do it one more time. I think I can do it a little better." And the part of the story is that you never accept somebody else telling you something is good enough if you know, if you feel that it can be better. And the chairman of the board did it again, and they used the last take because he knew that his phraseology could have been a little sharper. So when it feels right, you know it's time to let that thing go, and that's when you move on.
Yep.
So let me just say so this may tie into this notion of feeling right. So I've hung out with a few artists in my career. I've been in a whole bunch of studios over the course of my career, and as you may know, many people know that Prince, we talked about yesterday on this program, Prince was a very dear friend of mine. And I've traveled literally around the world with him, and it was always funny to me, whenever he wanted to record something on the road, he knew exactly what studio he wanted to go to. I mean, if you're in New York, if you're in L.A., there are studios everywhere. But he always knew what studio that he wanted to go into to record. I share that story to ask, given that you are a mix and recording engineer at Grammy-winning level, what makes a great studio? If I'm going to cut a record, and God help all y'all if I ever decide to do that, but if I'm going to cut a record, what makes a great studio for doing what you do?
So a great studio has to be technically sound. Like all the equipment has to be top level. Has to you have to have certain consoles, certain equipment in there. The acoustics of the room has to be properly set up. The speakers need to be properly set up. As long as the studio is technically sound, we will be able to capture and mix a great record in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that add on to it is the hospitality side of it, is having great staff at a studio.
Mm-hmm.
So a studio that has a great attentive staff that's willing to help, help assist in whatever is needed to get the record right. Something as little as having like the right keys in the studio for the artist to be able to get the vocal that they need and et cetera. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things for me that make like a really good studio.
Yeah. So I can only relate this to my work. There are times when I'm editing something or working on a project or writing something for that matter. I've written a bunch of books. I'm writing something. And at a certain point, I say to people around me, I have heard this too many times. I need you to listen. I've read this chapter too many times. I need you to look at it. And that's why you have great editors in my business to help you get good books out, because after you've written it and rewritten it and rewritten it and rewritten it, somebody else, you need some different eyes to look at it. Does that happen to mixing? Does that happen to mixing recording engineers?
Yes, yeah. It's definitely a community that builds the songs, So I believe the first thing that happens with a song is the producer and the artist come up with what the song is going to be. Either it starts out with like a little melody or like a little drum pattern, and then we start talking about it, figuring out how to create, make that into a song. And then from then, the engineer captures it, and then, then the mixer mixes it. And then the last guy to touch the record is the mastering engineer, and the whole time we're all in communication with each other. And at mastering, the mastering engineer could hear something that was maybe not necessarily overlooked, but just like a different perspective of it, bring it to my attention. And I'm like, you know what? I like that idea. And I'll go back, tweak the mix or whatever it's a vocal that's a little too loud or a kick that's a little bit too soft or hard or whatever it is. And then we'll make those adjustments. So there's always other people that are in a position to critique the work, from to end up making it what it is.
Nope. Here's my exit question. And I've been fascinated to have this conversation because whenever it's Grammy season, or for that matter, this weekend's the big Academy Awards program, the Oscars, there are a bunch of awards that are given on television. And then we're told there's a bunch of other awards that were given prior to this national broadcast. These awards were given out. And so we don't often see the Grammys for mix and recording engineers presented on television. That's how the game works. I understand that. But what does it mean to be doing what you do and have done it so well in the mix and recording engineer lane that you get recognized by the organization with Grammys?
It means a lot, man, and especially this past season, I was blessed enough to take home 2 Grammy Awards, and one of the Grammys was for Best Engineered Album, and that's a very, very special one for me because it basically is acknowledging specifically the work that I do on a project, and that engineers do. The other, when you win, Album of the Year or Best R&B Album, it's acknowledging that, hey, you took part in, a great album and you contributed to that. But this award specifically is acknowledging that you did an amazing job in specifically the role as an engineer. So that meant a lot. And the fact that, D-Mal Victoria, and a lot of the guys that worked on the project. We've been friends for a very, very long time, and to be able to win that with them is incredible.
Well, as they say,
incredible feat.
No, it is an incredible feat. And as they say, we are rooting for everybody black. So congratulations to you and your team.
Thank you.
This program is at its best, I think, when we're sharing with people information, profiling people, raising issues, asking questions they wouldn't otherwise hear anyplace else. And so for all the artists who win these awards that we do know, I just thought it made sense. One time, let's talk to somebody whose name we may not know, but they're a Grammy winner no less, multiple Grammys, and are doing the kind of stuff that we appreciate even we don't know their name. But now you know the name John Kersey. So next time you check out an album and you happen to like the sound on it, look at the back, look at the stuff and see if you see the name. Look at the liner notes and see if you see John Kersey on there. You could. You never know. John, congratulations, man. Good to have you on this program, my friend. All the best to you, sir.
Thank you so much for having me, man. I really appreciated this conversation.
Yeah, I did as well. Good to have you on. We will close today's program talking about the aforementioned Academy Awards this weekend with Mike Sargent on Tavis Smiley.
Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. This is the Tavis Smiley Show.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful. They saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. An in vitro fertilization bill is now law in Alabama after being signed by Republican Governor Kay Ivey. It was approved by the state legislature Wednesday. Under the provisions of Senate Bill 159, clinics, doctors, and other healthcare facilities that provide IVF treatment in Alabama will be granted immunity from criminal prosecution. In Georgia, a panel investigating the Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis heard testimony Wednesday from the defense attorney who first put forward allegations about her relationship with a special prosecutor. Ashley Merchant represents former Trump campaign official Mike Roman in the former president's election subversion case. She was the first to testify about the African American's alleged improper relationship with Nathan Wade. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
Is this the takeover? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man. The Lakers missed out on a chance to move up in the Western Conference standings. They lost by 10 at home to Sacramento. The loss dropped the Lakers down to the 10th spot. Something went wrong in the second quarter. The Lakers led by 19 in the first quarter, but trailed by 15 at the half. A solid game by LeBron was wasted. He had 31 points and 13 assists. The Clippers won by 6 in Houston. The Clippers are now 19 games over 500. Kawhi Leonard had 28 points and 7 assists. USC will play Arizona tonight in the Pac-12 women's basketball tournament in Las Vegas. The Trojans, the number 2 seed, had a first-round bye. 6 p.m. tip-off on the Pac-12 network. UCLA also had a first-round bye. The Bruins, the number 3 seed, will play Utah tonight at 8:30. If USC and UCLA win, they will meet up in the semifinals Friday night. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. Climate justice, climate equity, climate resilience. By any other name, we demand environmental justice in 2024 and beyond. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
Savings. Now that's speaking the Lowe's language. And with My Lowe's Rewards, your savings just keep coming with members-only offers. Learn more about the new loyalty program at Lowes.com/MyLowe'sRewards. Subject to terms and conditions. See Lowes.com/terms for details.
Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. Sometimes we try to fit it all in. Sometimes we don't know what's in store. Sometimes we find what we're looking for. Sometimes we're rolling easy and free. Sometimes 1 and 1 makes 3. So much to love along this ride. That's why Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
Psst. Hey, I have a secret. I use Secret Whole Body Deodorant because more than just my armpits stink.
Oh, can I use it where my bra rubs under my...
Oh, yeah.
And what about down there? You know, my...
Totally. 4 out of 5 gynecologists would recommend it. So I tried it, and now I get 72 hours of freshness from my pits to my...
Ooh, I love that it's a spray.
Me too. And it comes in sticks and creams too. Go get your Secret Whole Body Deodorant.
If you're looking for the most epic place on Earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through the thick jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure.
Available feature. Intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
Let's get back to more of Tavis Smiley right now.
All right, we close today's program as promised in conversation with Mike Sargent, who is with the Black Film Critics Circle. He's co-founder, and we're going to have a chat with him about the big awards this weekend. This is not one of those years where you can say Oscars so white. We can always do better, but you will not be saying Oscars so white this year. There are a number of African Americans nominated in some major categories this year, and we celebrate all of them. We'll run through that with Mike Sargent in a moment. But first, some sound from one of my favorite films of the year, American Critic.
Who wants to start? Yes, Brittany, kick it off.
I don't have a thought on the reading. I just think that word on the board is wrong.
Well, I think it still has 2 G's in it, last I checked.
It's not funny. We shouldn't have to stare at the N-word all day.
Listen, this is a class on the literature of the American South. You're going to encounter some archaic thoughts, coarse language, but we're all adults here. And I think we can understand it within the context in which it's written.
Well, I just find that word really offensive.
With all due respect, Brittany, I got over it. I'm pretty sure you can too.
Well, I don't see why.
Love that clip. I think I said when I introduced that clip, I said American Critic. I was talking about Mike Sargent being a film critic. He is. If I said American Critic, I meant American Fiction. That is the name of the film, American Fiction. I loved it. Mike Sargent, what'd you think of it?
Oh, we voted it best film of the year. I loved it. I loved it so much. I've seen it 3 times.
Wow.
I don't see anything.
Yeah.
3 times. So
Yeah.
I loved it for a lot of reasons. So yes, it's great.
My sense is you tell me. My sense is, having only seen it once, but I obviously realize how power packed that film is. I can only imagine. And this is why I need to see it a second or third time myself. I can only imagine that every time you see that, because it's chock full of so much good stuff, you see something different every time, yes?
Oh my goodness, do I see? There's so many layers to this film. Let me tell you this. I admired it for a number of reasons. The first time I saw it, I admired it even more the second time.
So tell me tell me, unpack that for me. What do you admire so much about it?
I'll unpack. Well, for me now, let me just give you a little context.
Sure.
I'm a film critic, but I'm also a filmmaker.
Sure.
And of course, I'm a film lover. So I look at everything from three perspectives. And I can appreciate a film. I can enjoy a film. I can get where something. It's not often that I'm impressed. Where part of what really was powerful about American fiction is that the narrative is always talking about the same thing. It's always reinforcing certain points. It touches upon something, and it takes it pretty far. So, for instance, identity. When you realize that, this is a film about identity, the identity you want to keep, the identity you project, the identity you want to embrace, but in the subplot, it's also about his mom, his parents who are losing their identity, and then even further, if you look even further, his agent is a Latino, but he doesn't have a Latino name. And you think, well, hold on now. In this business, would he have had to do something about his identity, use a different? So there's so many layers that I never even caught the first time, and I just enjoyed it for the performances. I mean, I could talk the entire show about this film, but I really enjoyed it.
Let's talk.
What did you like about it?
Oh,
Let me ask you.
Everything you just said, and you're going exactly where I wanted to go. Everything you just said, as we said in the Black Church, amen to all that. Number one, but number two, you just uttered the word that just grabbed me. First of all, I thought the screenplay was written very well. I mean, sometimes a great actor can't save a bad screenplay, as you well know.
Absolutely.
But so they had a great cast in this thing, which I want to talk about in a second. But I thought the screenplay was written beautifully well. There were a couple of twists and turns I didn't see. At the very end, not to give it away, there was one or two too many twists for me at the very end. At the very, very, very end, there were one or too many twists that I said, I'm not sure I would have gone that direction. But I thought the screenplay was done remarkably well. But what got me to answer your question, what I loved about it, were the performances and the casting. Let's talk about that. Everybody's talking, of course, about Jeffrey Wright, who is amazing. Sterling K. Brown is amazing. They're both nominated this weekend. But the entire cast, I thought, was just amazing. And to see, I'll let you run the names, but these persons, to see all of them in the same film just did something to me, frankly, Mike.
Well, 100%. Because, first of all, these are, it sounds cliche, but these are examples of Black excellence.
Yeah.
Every single person in there. Jeffrey Wright has had an amazing career. Okay, he's someone who has not gotten his flowers yet. Tracy Ellis Ross, amazing career. John Ortiz, who plays his agent, also a great actor you've seen in a million things. You may not know his name, but you see him, you know his work. Erica Alexander. And then I love the fact that they brought Leslie Uggams. Okay, where's she been? Like, we need to celebrate her. Issa Rae, so who played, in my opinion, such a great character as well. And again, like you said, the screenplay and the writing, there's some great scenes in there where, for those, I'm assuming everybody knows the plot of this movie.
Yeah.
Should we tell them or
give it to them? Go ahead and give it. Give it.
Well, the basic plot of the movie is that Jeffrey Wright plays a writer, okay, who writes novels that, nobody really wants to read. He is upset that there are what is quote-unquote Black fiction. What is being sold by Black authors are the kind of things that, let's just say, do not present us in a very positive light. They're the narratives that we'd like to avoid as Black people in this country. And he feels very strongly about it, very passionately about it, but he's not selling. And he, in the rage he feels for this, he writes a mock book. And that ends up selling and giving him all the success that's eluded him. And now, I don't want to give too much away, but now he has to reconcile. He actually has to become someone else. Or does he? So it's just so many fun things that happen in this movie. I don't want to give it away, but what I love, like you said, about it is how we got to see all these actors. And then the last great actor, besides Issa Rae, playing the writer who is successful writing this Black fiction, or this ghetto fiction, as they call it, Sterling K. Brown is his brother.
Yes.
So this cast is like magic in itself. Just to see such a great cast and to just see them being people.
Yeah.
Because you understood all these people. I did. I felt like I'd met almost all these characters.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say about that, we'll move on to a few other things. The last thing I'll say is we know, for me at least, and obviously art is subjective, but it's hard, and I mean hard, to do better than Jeffrey Wright and Sterling K. Brown. And I say that because I'm so thrilled. Again, we'll see what happens on the weekend, but whether he wins or doesn't really matter to me. Jeffrey Wright is one of the greatest actors of his generation. And I'm just glad to see Jeffrey get the love and the respect that he has earned over these years. And Sterling K. Brown is on everybody's list these days. We all love Sterling K. Brown, but I'm just glad to see Jeffrey getting the respect he deserves, and just even in a nomination. Even as I'm the first to tell you, I think too often we put too much on that normative white gaze, and that's another conversation for another time. We put way too much on the normative white gaze. Whether the white folk give you an Academy Award or not, whether the industry gives it to you or not, you are still awfully good at what you do. I'm not saying turn the award down. I'm just saying that Jeffrey Wright is a great actor, whether he wins this weekend or not, as is Sterling K. Brown. But it's an amazing cast on this film called American Fiction. If you have not seen it, try to see it before Sunday, and if not, just see it. Period. I can assure you. And I also love it's the subject matter is smart. It's a film about smart people and significant subject matter that ought to be wrestled with. And in that regard, I just loved it all the way around. That's American Fiction. But there's other stuff to talk about, and we'll do that when we come forward with Mike Sargent on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on! What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Charles Barkley in a pickup game.
We'll take Barkley.
Ha! First pick! Sorry, kids! Yep, even easier than that. With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, is it even a decision?
Okay, here's the plan. Pass me the ball every time.
This is banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
Girl, I have a secret. When I get stressed out, I get sweaty. That's why I use Secret Clinical Antiperspirant. It's like my own secret weapon. For 72 hours, I get Secret's strongest protection against sweat caused by stress, heat, and activity, because you know how crazy life can get. Plus, it's made with advanced odor fighters that don't just cover up smelliness. They help prevent it from happening in the first place. Believe me, if I weren't wearing Secret, I'd be a hot, smelly mess. Thankfully, Secret works.
Spilled your drink? Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up spills quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less than the leading ordinary brand. So you can get back to your night. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Gabby.
Hey, Gabby. It's Jennifer Coolidge. Hi. I'm so glad I reached you at 2 a.m.
Oh, of course. Anyone with a Discover card can call and talk to a real person 24/7. Now, how can I help?
Yeah, I used my Discover card to buy these yellow pleather pajamas, and I'm just not sure I'm pulling them off.
24/7 U.S.-based customer service. It pays to Discover.
Limitations apply. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard.
He's rooting for everybody black. Everybody black. More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
I loves Hoppo. God knows I do. But I'll kill him dead before I let him or anybody beat me. All my life, I've had to fight. Had to fight my daddy, had to fight my brothers, my cousins, my uncles too. But I never thought I'd have to fight in my own house.
There are a number of black folk. Mike Sargent nominated for Academy Awards this weekend, and one of them is Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple, sir.
Yeah, Danielle Brooks, she's like a force of nature. Force of nature. She comes across in this film as so memorable in this film that you really forget that she's not the star. That's how good she is.
Mm-hmm.
So I really enjoyed her performance, and for those who don't know, she used to be on Orange is the New Black.
Mm-hmm.
She played a character called Tasha Tasty Jefferson, and she is definitely a force to be reckoned with. And what I hope from something like this is that there are more roles written for actresses like her.
Yeah,
because so talented. What are your thoughts, Tavis? Because I always want to know what Tavis thinks.
No. This is your time, but this is your time. I want you. You're the expert, and my time is tight. I want to hear more of you. But let me. I tell you what I do think. Since you asked me, I tell you what I do think about the awards overall. I love the fact, and I know there's no way around it. So I ain't stuck on stupid. I get it. I love the fact that there's some brothers and sisters nominated for some major awards this weekend. What I don't like is that they're competing against each other in the same categories.
Well, not only are they competing against each other in the same categories, if you really want to break it down, they're being nominated more than one for the same film, which also tells you something. There are 10 pictures nominated. The only film that is a black film or a film of color really is American Fiction. Killers of the Flower Moon is a conversation we don't have to get into.
Yeah.
But that's it. And out of those top 10 films, American Fiction, as great as it is, has made the least amount of money of all of the Oscar nominees.
Mm-hmm. And what do you? I know there's some commentary behind that. What do you make of it? Give it to me.
Well, let's put it this way. I think that it is one thing to get the accolades and the recognition. Okay, but the real power really comes in what you can command with the audience, how much money can
box office,
exactly. So if you, what does it mean? Viola Davis has won and been nominated as she's let's say the black equivalent of Meryl Streep, and she's talked about it, but she can't get Meryl Streep money.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a disparity there.
Yeah,
so,
well,
to me. Yeah, I just feel like it says a lot that the top 10 films, the only black film to be nominated, it's nominated, but it hasn't made any money.
Yeah, well, speaking of money, Taraji opened up that can of worms, did she not? Talking about money, Taraji P. Henson, speaking of The Color Purple. Our remaining moments with Mike Sargent, we're going to just run the list right quick. So, Mike, get your list ready of who's going to win this weekend. And you can do it one of two ways. Just tell me how you think these black people are going to fare this weekend. And broadly speaking, who you think is going to win some of the big categories. There are lots of films out this year and nominated about real people. There's a question there. What's Mike think of that? All these films about real people. Oppenheimer, of course, is the Bernstein Project. So we'll talk about that before we lose him at the top of the hour. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent us straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful they saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket, just like our customer Jaron.
I'm the singer and guitarist in a band, and I use my Cricket phone for everything. It's basically like another band member.
Don't miss a single beat. Switch today and get a free Samsung Galaxy A14 5G. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Real customer paid for testimonial. Must bring your number to Cricket on up to a $60 a month voice plan depending on device. Select models only while supplies last. First month service charge and tax due at sale. Cricket 5G requires a compatible device and is not available everywhere. Fees, terms, and restrictions apply. See store for details.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
So you just used bug spray in your home. Now what? Well, between the waiting and waiting for things to dry up and keeping your family away from the mess, it hits you. You could have used Zevo. Unlike other bug sprays that stick around, Zevo goes from kill to clean in seconds. Plus, it's safe for use around people and pets when used as directed. Zevo, people-friendly, bug-deadly.
More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
I've got just 3.5 minutes left with Mike Sargent. I want to give it all to him. Mike, how are these black nominees? We should just run all their names if you get a chance right quick. Just run the names of all those who at least nominated this weekend. How are they going to fare this weekend?
Well, I think the fact that they got nominated is the best thing about it.
Yep.
But yes, Coleman Domingo and Jeffrey Wright are both nominated for Best Actor. And Sterling K. Brown is nominated for Best Supporting Actor. And actress, Best Supporting Actress, Best Actress is, Lily Gladstone is, I'd like to claim her because she's a woman of color.
Sure.
Okay, and she did a great job. And actress in a supporting role, we've got Danielle Brooks, Divine Joy Randolph from The Holdovers, and America Ferrara, who also has never really gotten her flowers,
Yeah.
So I think we're pretty well represented, but I don't necessarily think we're going to win.
Yeah, I get it.
That's my take.
Yep. What?
I feel like this is good.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's good. Exactly. It's a step. It's a step. Yeah. What do you watching my clock here? What do you make of the fact that there's so many films out this year about real people? I mentioned Oppenheimer. There, of course, is Maestro, about Bernstein. There are others, but what happened this year where there's so many films about real people?
Well, real people, and then also remakes.
Yeah.
So I think that life is a lot more interesting than fiction, and we've had a really steady diet of comic book movies and fantasy movies, and those are the things that have dominated for a good decade now. So I think people, perhaps, especially post-pandemic, are really a little interested in, let's say, real life, or at least I say that. Yet Barbie made more money than anything. So,
All right, it was. What was it? For a while, it was Barbenheimer for a week for a few weekends.
Barbenheimer,
it was
yeah.
Barbenheimer. Those two films, Barbie and Oppenheimer, were just killing everything. Let me close with this. I don't know if this has changed as yet, but unless your name is Denzel Washington, we all know the D's great. I'm not sure. I mean, it's great to be nominated. You know I'm going, don't you? I'm not so sure that winning these things necessarily changes your career, though. Not if you're black, Mike Sargent. That's just me.
I see. That's where I would go. We can have a whole conversation about that.
We could.
I don't think it changes it.
Yeah.
And I don't think. I mean, if you look at, they just released the top 10 most money-making actors. Bottom of the list is Denzel.
Let me run it right quick. Let me run it right quick. Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned that. So number 10 of the highest paid actors for 2023, I got a minute here. Adam Sandler, number 1, $73 million last year. Margot Robbie, speaking of Barbie, $59 million last year. Number 3, Tom Cruise, $45 million last year. Ryan Gosling, $43 million. Matt Damon, number 5, $43 million. Number 6, Jennifer Aniston, $42 million. Leo DiCaprio, number 7, $41 million. Jason Statham, $41 million. Number 8 rather. Number 9, Ben Affleck at $38 million, and the only Negro, the only black man in the top 10, black person, Denzel comes in at 24. Now, there's another way to read that. Denzel's about to turn 70. Mm-hmm. He's about to turn 70. Mm-hmm. If at 70 you can still command $24 million a year as a black man, I would take that in a heartbeat. And we all know it was the slap in part that got Will off this list. Typically, there's Will and Denzel on the list. There's no Will, so be careful what you do. Mm-hmm. We all make mistakes, but that thing is costly in a lot of ways for Will Smith. Speaking of the Oscars, I will leave it there. Hey, Mike, there's a lot I want to talk to you about this industry, so let's get you back on for an hour just to talk about black people and the industry, if that's okay with you.
Oh, I would love that. Yes, I would.
We'll make it happen. Until then, thank you for the chance to talk to you today. And just like that, the program is done. Poof, 3 hours gone. Back here tomorrow. No, tomorrow's Friday. Best of Tavis Smiley tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, keep the faith.
Lil Tyson,
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. An in vitro fertilization bill is now law in Alabama after being signed by Republican Governor Kay Ivey. It was approved by the state legislature Wednesday. Under the provisions of Senate Bill 159, clinics, doctors, and other healthcare facilities that provide IVF treatment in Alabama will be granted immunity from criminal prosecution. In Georgia, a panel investigating the Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis heard testimony Wednesday from the defense attorney who first put forward allegations about her relationship with a special prosecutor. Ashley Merchant represents former Trump campaign official Mike Roman in the former president's election subversion case. She was the first to testify about the African American's alleged improper relationship with Nathan Wade. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Get ready to see Mike Tyson in the ring again. The former heavyweight boxing champ has agreed to fight Jake Paul, a guy more known for being a YouTube influencer. Tyson and Paul will meet up July 20th at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Make sure your Netflix subscription is current. Netflix is the only way to see the 12-round bout. The 27-year-old Paul has been trying to build a boxing career. He's 9-1 in 10 fights against marginal opponents. Paul is stepping up big time in competition, even though Tyson is 58 and hasn't fought since he retired in 2005. Apparently, Tyson feels he can still throw down. Tyson won 44 of his 58 bouts by knockout. A lot of folks will be dialing up Netflix to see if he can add one more to his knockout total. LeBron's left ankle is sore again. We'll keep you posted on whether he plays Friday night against Milwaukee. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Climate is king.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that caring for the community means caring about the climate. You might have heard that we announced a pretty bold 12-month, $2 million campaign to do 4 things. Increase climate literacy, turn up the volume on communities of color in the climate conversation, connect everyday people with the resources they need to survive and thrive, and highlight frontline climate justice crusaders of color throughout this year. KBLA Talk 1580 will be bringing you insightful interviews on all of our shows to help raise your climate IQ. Each quarter this year, we will also be hosting free climate events in various communities throughout the city with food, fun, and forward-thinking conversations. Thanks to partners like LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, the Sierra Club, the California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, AQMD, MWD, and more. You'll also be hearing more about a couple of national town halls broadcasting live from Los Angeles, to which you will be invited. And we'll be rolling out a robust social media campaign on all our platforms, as well as an outdoor media campaign, all designed to educate, enlighten, and empower you in our fight for climate justice.
We want cleaner air.
Caring about the community means caring about the climate. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that we really can change the world if we care enough. If we care enough. If we care enough. If we care enough. If we care enough.
Welcome forward now. You're listening to the Millionaires Roundtable. I am your host, Lynn Richardson, here on KBLA Talk 1580, and we